All right. Welcome to the Talent Show. What's going on, y'all? So good to see you for episode number 6, which is absolutely incredible to say already. Man, thank you guys. It has been very, very progressive so far with the first 5 guests kind of honoring and featuring Ole Miss, and where I've been over the last couple of years in my journey. We'll continue to see that moving forward as well. But I thought it was time right now to break these things up a little bit and continue our diversion of what our guest is and the wholesome of our conversation. So thank you guys for your support through the first 5 episodes. It's been so fun to talk to the people that I've talked to and learn and interact with them. You guys saw some in-person interviews for the very first time here. And I've been putting in so much work, and you guys just continue to support. So thank you guys. Thank you for your love. It means the world to me. And without me yapping too much, let's introduce our guest for episode number 6, Mr. Michael Marcantinini. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo!
Hey, Dalen, what's up, man? Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
No, appreciate you for joining me, man. Super excited to sit down and chat with you, man. Learn a little bit more about you. We know each other, guys listening and watching. Michael and I know each other, but I think there's still so much to kind of in depth and devour about Michael. We met throughout my work experience and his work experience with play-by-play sports broadcasting camp, who have been so beneficial to my life. And if you want to learn more about them and what they do, go check out episode number 1 of season 2. Had a chance to sit down with Jeremy, Steven, and Jenna a few years ago and just share their journeys and share what they're doing with the company. So excited for this, and thank you for joining my man. First off, how you doing? How's life treating you? I know you got your baseball getting ready to come up this week. Just how's life going for you, man?
Things have been great lately, especially since the weather's getting better up here in the Northeast in Pennsylvania. I do not like winter, man. The cold, I can't do it. So now that we're getting into spring, warm weather, sunshine, and baseball season, I mean, all good things. The last month or so, I've been doing a lot of college sports broadcasts, college baseball and college softball. And it's been like a spring training for me, getting ready for another season of minor league baseball. So this will be my 6th year working in professional baseball, and ready to get back to the Aberdeen IronBirds in the Orioles organization, a team I've been with since the end of the 2022 season, and just really excited to get better this year and get back down there and call some more games, man.
Yeah, man. I'm super stoked baseball is back in general. For people that have been watching know that it's been a little rocky run for my Cardinals so far, kind of mix of emotions, but it's super fun to be back. And before I get yapping too much, Michael, before we kind of get going, but if you don't mind, for people watching and listening, can you just give a brief introduction about yourself so everyone can get comfortable with you really quick? So just where you're from, what you're doing right now in your life, and just some things you've been able to do across your lifetime and get you where you are today, man.
Yeah, for sure, man. So I am from Blue Bell, Pennsylvania, which is a suburb outside of Philadelphia, about 45 minutes from the city. So I've grown up in the Philly area. Philly sports fan and all that. Went to Penn State for college. I graduated in 2017. I'm 29 now, so it's been a little while since I've been out of school. But we are, Nittany Lion fan through and through, all that stuff. But when I was really young, I started going to the play-by-play sports broadcasting camps that you mentioned earlier. And I was 10 years old the first time I went to those camps, and that's where I got the initial interest in a career in sports broadcasting, and I just kept pursuing it. And I ended up majoring in broadcast journalism in college, did a lot of sports talk radio, play-by-play, on-camera TV hosting. And then from there, outside of college, I knew I wanted to get into play-by-play specifically as the main thing I was doing in broadcasting. And baseball's always been my favorite sport, the sport that I've played my whole life, talking it, broadcasting it, playing it, whatever, anything baseball related, I was always in, always still am always in. So I got a gig in the summer of 2017 working in the Northwoods League, a summer collegiate baseball league. That was my first gig calling games. And from there, the next year I got into pro ball. And aside from a couple of years during the pandemic, I've steadily been working in professional baseball ever since, mainly doing play-by-play broadcasting, but also doing a lot of media relations and communication stuff. And I've done some different sports outside of baseball. I think I've called 7 different sports at the D1 college level throughout the last few years, but it's mainly baseball. It's what I'm most passionate about. Like I said earlier, I'm going on my 6th year working in professional baseball, which is really awesome and so cool to get to say, like, I'm that far deep into my career doing this thing. But I've lived in 6 different states. I was out in Arizona this past fall working for Major League Baseball as a communications coordinator and a broadcaster in the Arizona Fall League, which has been my best career experience so far. The last 3 years with the Aberdeen IronBirds and the Orioles org has been awesome. It's really where I've grown as a broadcaster, and broadcasting has taken me to some cool places. I got to go to Australia a few years back, broadcasting in the Australian Baseball League, which was the best life experience I've ever had. So, all in all, I've had some really cool experiences in the broadcasting industry, and it all started from just having an interest in it, when I was 10 years old, and then just kind of growing over time.
Um, I'm gonna be a little unorthodox with how I kind of do this conversation with you, man. But you talking about all that, and I know this, but I want to ask you for everyone that doesn't. What's your end goal, man? Like, what is your like biggest goal in terms of your career and where you want to be setting stone once you call it a career? Like, what's your end goal for what you want to do?
Yeah, the number one goal for me, and it's been like this for a while, is to broadcast games in the major leagues, whether that's for a team or a network, whether it's as a radio broadcaster or a TV broadcaster. I just want to call big league games and be the voice of a big league team. I mean, that's always been the dream, and my passion for it, and that dream continues to grow. I would really like to be. I said it could be a team or it could be with a network. I'd love it to be specifically with a team so I can be that guy and tell the stories of the players on that team and, year after year, continue to build something special.
Yeah.
But I've also got some other big dreams. I'd love to call World Baseball Classic games someday, College World Series games. I want to call the biggest baseball games, not only in the country, in the world. So
Yeah.
that's what I'm fighting for right now, man.
I asked you that because I get asked so much, and it's kind of like now I'm saying it to you. It's kind of like, man, I'm getting old because now young people ask me this, even when we're at camps where people are coming to visit. What advice would I give to them? And when I ask you this, I think the basics of what I do is because what I love to do, and I'm going to assume you were going to say the same thing. But could you give a piece of advice to people that are young and maybe have that 10-year-old aspirations like you did, but are trying to figure out how to stay patient, or maybe they're in college or just out of college and are trying to figure out how do I stay patient being at this maybe at the bottom level when all I want to do is be at the top? Like, how have you been able to sustain uh being in the minor leagues and doing different things to get you where you are right now, but then as well continuing to grow to get you where you want to be in the future as well?
Yeah, it's a great question because it's something that is so important. You mentioned patience, and you mentioned kind of realizing that if you have a dream and a goal, like you've got to somehow find a way to get there. It doesn't just happen overnight. So for me, when I was 10 years old, middle school, then even into high school, going to the sports broadcasting camps, and we'd hear the guest speakers talking about their career and how they got to where they are. I'm thinking like, man, like I want to be like those people someday. Like how is that going to happen? How am I going to get there? It feels like sometimes it feels unattainable. But I think the root of it is like if you're truly passionate about it and it's something you want to do. Like for me, it's play-by-play broadcasting. For somebody else, it could be on-camera anchoring or writing or hosting sports talk radio shows or TV shows. But for me, it's play-by-play. Like I'm so passionate about it, and I just thoroughly love doing it that the steps that I've had throughout my career so far, while none of them so far have been my end goal and I always want to get to the next level, like I've enjoyed it along the way because I get paid to broadcast baseball games and I've gotten to see so many different places across the country and world because of it. So at times I've had trouble like kind of living in the moment and being patient, but at the same time I'm like, wow, this is fun along the way. Like the grind and the paying your dues is enjoyable if you're truly passionate about what you're doing. I love calling IronBirds games. I loved my stint in the Arizona Fall League. I got to go to Australia, like I said. Even a year in a college summer league and independent ball and all that. It's been fun because I get to do what I love, and I've made a lot of really good friends along the way. And so the biggest thing is like you won't have to worry about being patient if you truly love doing it, because it just kind of naturally comes. Like you're like, yeah, I want to be in the big leagues calling games right now. Like everybody does. But when I get to call an IronBirds game on Friday, open up the season, like I'm in for those 3 hours, I'm going to be absolutely loving what I'm doing, calling that game, and then the next one and the next one after that. So it's getting into something that you want to do to start, and trying to work your way up and having fun working your way up, and kind of looking at it as like it's a game. Everything's a challenge. Like right now, I'm calling games at high A in the Orioles organization. Like I want to be in the big leagues someday. So how can I get there? It's a game. How much harder do I have to work? Like I don't mind doing the prep work because it's for something enjoyable. And you get to do a lot of cool things. Like I interview players all the time, which gives me exposure, gives them exposure. It helps my broadcast. It adds to the quality of the broadcast. Like the things you do along the way, if you're really enjoying it, like you won't have to worry about being patient, because it'll just happen naturally and you'll be having fun. So I think that's the biggest piece of advice, but also like never lose sight of why you do something. Like there's been times throughout my career where I have lost sight of why I got into it in the first place. I'm too worried about the next step and not worrying about just enjoying the present. Or I get on myself. I'm too hard. I'm like, oh, that wasn't a very good broadcast tonight. But really, you just have to think back to why you got into it in the first place. I think back all the time, like how proud 10-year-old me would be that I've made it this far. So I just want to keep going.
Yeah, man. You'll make me cry, like seriously. I think one of my best things about you, man, is we've always been able to have like deep and genuine conversations. So I appreciate you for that, man. And I don't care that I'm crying, because people that have kept up so far know that this fifth season is. I posted a quote by Jimmy V before the season started, just saying you should do 3 things every day. And in one of his speeches, you should cry, you should learn, and you should laugh. So that's been like one of my things this season is just, doing all those things. So I don't care that I'm crying, and I'm crying because it's very relatable, and what you're saying is not just for what we do, but it's for any career that anybody is watching or listening, going into or trying to do. Like it's so easy that you can get diverted for the wrong reason. I'm so grateful that you said your why, because I was at that point last year. I was going through so much in my life that I was like, why am I doing this? Or is this really what I want to do? And then I got back to the basic of, I love telling people stories. I love interacting and connecting with people. And that's why I'm here, to do those things. And so thank you for sharing that, man. Like, I know that that's easier said than done, but I appreciate you for being so authentic with that.
Yeah, I think like the biggest reason like why I think I'm able to say that so authentically is because I've lived it. Like I'm not just saying that and can't back it up. Like there was a point like I mentioned during the couple years of COVID, I wasn't really working in sports, let alone baseball, but I got to a point where I went over 3 years between calling professional baseball games. Like I went over 1,000 days from the last broadcast I did during the 2019 season until I came aboard with the Aberdeen IronBirds in August of 2018. And there were a lot of times in between there that I thought it was done. Like, I don't think there was ever truly a point where I wasn't talented enough to keep going, or I couldn't work hard enough to get back into it. But like when you're so down on yourself, like your brain can't process that. Like, so I was so in the mindset of like, it's over. I'm not good enough. I can't get back into it. But I took some time to get my mental health under control, and I just started grinding again and having fun while grinding. And, now I'm at this point, I'm just hoping to keep going with it.
Yeah. If I can stay a little vulnerable with you talking about mental health, man, just how you've been able to challenge it, because you kind of read my mind talking about COVID. I know that was all a difficult period for everyone, and I was actually going to ask you about it, so I'm grateful that you brought it up. Just talk about what COVID it was this experience like for you. What was the learning environments that you kind of had to grow in terms of sticking through it throughout that time that has continued to push you to do what you're doing right now, man?
Yeah. COVID was tough. It really was. It was for everybody. So I'm not going to, I don't need people to feel bad for me because I lost out on some opportunities or some things didn't work out, because that happened for everybody. But there were a few things that I did during COVID One was just to kind of like in 2020 specifically, just realizing like, okay, like this is happening to everybody. It's not happening to me personally.
Yeah.
So, let's just take a step back for a year. Like nobody's out there calling games. There's less opportunity. So just be easier on yourself. And at times it was easier said than done. But one thing I did do, like just to scratch the itch of continuing to call games and just stay involved and get some reps somehow, was during the MLB playoffs in 2020. I just wanted to, broadcast a little bit. So I sat in my basement, muted the TV, filled out my scorebook like I was calling a game, like I would do normally, for a team that I'm working for or whatever. And I just called the game and recorded it on my laptop. So from doing that a few times, like I had demo tape that I could send to people or teams and say, hey, like, yeah, I haven't worked in baseball in this long, or, it's no minor league season this year or whatever, but like I did this, like I called some games here. And I don't think any of that demo stuff ever got me my next position. But I think a lot of people are, if I'm sending this out to teams or networks or whatever, they're like, wow, he's really into it. He's passionate about it. He sat in his basement and did this. So that was one thing I did. And I felt really good about myself for doing that, because like, there were a lot of times where I'm like, damn, how am I ever going to get back into this? But doing that, I was like, I'm good. I can be better. And this is fun. So I did that. And then towards the end of the pandemic in the fall of 2021, where the pandemic was still going on, but by then people are vaccinated and people are starting to get out again.
Mm-hmm.
I was just really sick of being at home in the Philly area. I wanted a change of scenery, and I had always wanted to live by a beach in Florida. And I'm like, now may be my only chance to ever do that. Who knows what's going to happen? So I did it. And it was very unlike me to do that. Like I've always been, like a mama's boy growing up, like didn't take a whole lot of risks. But I'm like, at this point in my life, I need to do something up. I need to jumpstart not only my career, but just like the energy, like personally again. So I moved to St. Petersburg, Florida. I rented a room from somebody renting out a room in their house. So I didn't have to lock into like a lease. I found a furnished place. I didn't have to worry about bringing anything down. And I knew like I had the flexibility to stay down there longer if I found something substantial work-wise, or I could pick up and leave whenever I needed to. So I ended up being down there for 5 months, and it was just a really good reset to just, chill, be by a beach in Florida in nice weather. I ended up finding some work with a D2 school, broadcasting games. And that was kind of how I finally got back into it. So that was great for my mental health. But then it got bad again. Like that following March of 2022, I accepted a job with a minor league team. First time I had an offer from a minor league team in over 2 years. And I'm thinking like, this is great. Like finally getting back into it. Turns out it ended up being a horrible situation. Along the way, I was kind of misled about a lot of things, and it turned out just not to be where I wanted to be, not what they had said the role was going to be for me. And I backed out of it right before the season started, because that was kind of like my point of like, all right, how many times can you break till you shatter? And I had to address my mental health, legitimately this time, not just move away for a change of scenery. So that's when I started going to, mental health therapy, started seeing somebody online, virtual sessions. And once I kind of got things back under control, that's when opportunities started coming in with the University of Delaware, where I still call games, with the IronBirds, where I still am today. The thing with Australia happened, and it wasn't a coincidence. So there were a couple times I had to pivot, kind of figure some things out, take a step back to take multiple steps forward. And I think even to this day, I still need to do a better job of keeping my mental health in check and addressing it, because it's something that's always going to be there. So, but I'm proud of myself that I took that big leap a couple of years ago when I did.
Thank you, man. And thank you. I say that for sharing that, because it's not easy at all to talk about that. But as well, I think it's a very sensitive topic today, and within our media, what we do. So thank you for sharing that. And I want to go back now. Talk about growing up in Bluebell, Pennsylvania, man. What was it like growing up there for you, man? And what were some of the things that maybe you learned at a young age that have helped continue to make you the man that you are today?
Yeah, shout out Bluebell. It's a great area to grow up in. Just being from the Philly area in general, like you learn pretty early on that like people in Philly are just different. Like we're
Yeah.
extremely passionate in a lot of different ways, not just with sports. Sometimes it comes off, it rubs off on people the wrong way, and a lot of times Philly people take it too far with sports and all that. But just in general, like I'm from like a very passionate area.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that kind of rubs off on everybody when you grow up in this area. But I good upbringing, really good area to grow up in. My parents did a great, like, now that I'm almost 30 years old, I see how good of a job they did. Early on, I was taught a lot of good values that I kind of hold to myself. Like big on family. I'm a very empathetic person. Like I always want to make sure other people are good. Um, kind of like that. You feel better giving something than receiving something sometimes. So
Yeah.
I think I take that into what I do, like as a professional, like in my career. Like I want people to know how much I care about what I do and how much I love it. Not necessarily how much I know. Like I want the players to feel comfortable around me. I want coaches to feel comfortable. Anybody that I work with in sports broadcasting, like I want them to feel comfortable around me, knowing that I'm only gonna, um, bring out positivity. Like I'm never gonna trash a player during a broadcast or say anything negative, anything like that. So I think the way I was raised to have that care and empathy for other people, like I think that shines through in my broadcast because my goal is always to like spread that positivity and tell stories that people thoroughly enjoy.
You mentioned your parents quite a lot already, and I'm very big on family. They've been my backbone. So just talk about your parents and what they've meant to you in your lifetime, and just immediate family members as well who have just been a very good backbone in your life so far.
Yeah, well, my parents have been awesome to me. I think one of the biggest reasons that I'm still pursuing my broadcasting dreams, and the reason I've been able to stick with it this long, is because they've supported me not just emotionally and mentally through good and bad times, but they've also really helped me financially throughout my life. Like there's no way around it. When you get into sports broadcasting, unless you are just that good or you just luck into a really good situation early on, like you're going to need some help financially, whether that means picking up multiple jobs or having help from family with them supporting you here, helping out with rent or, food or whatever,
Yeah.
living with them a little bit longer than you'd like to. I mean, all of the above. Like that's, the thing for me is like, that's what's helped me to this point stick with it to get,
Mhm.
some of the breaks that I've had. And I'm still waiting for bigger breaks, but they've always supported me. They've been great about um, seeing me like pursue my passion. And it's not just, oh, I want to be a broadcaster and sit back and wait for something to happen. No, they see me wanting to be a broadcaster and pursuing things and really grinding at it. So their support's been awesome. My younger brother, Jack, who is a senior in college right now, he's been great as well. We're 7 years apart. So, I mean, it's tough when you have that big of an age gap with a
Mhm.
sibling, but we're pretty close for that age gap. And one thing that we always had in common was baseball. We were different in a lot of ways, but baseball was kind of something that bonded us and still bonds us today. Like I'm broadcasting in pro baseball and college baseball. He's a student manager for the Pitt baseball team. So like we're kind of carving out our own paths within baseball. Making it a big part of our lives. So their support's been great. I got to give a shout out to my uncle Dave and my aunt Archie and my cousin Alina. They are incredibly important to me as well.
Yeah.
They're from about an hour away in Jersey, but they are like as close of family members that I have, and they support me through and through. My cousin Garrett, who was Alina's brother, passed away when he was 22 during 2020. And so ever since that happened, we've kind of all rallied around each other after that happened. My grandparents on my mom's side are no longer here, but incredible support system from them my whole life. My grandmother on my dad's side passed away a bunch of years ago, but she was great. My dad's dad, my grandfather on my dad's side, he's still around, and he's been an incredible grandfather, both like, with throwing me some money on birthdays and holidays and just supporting what I do and knowing that I'm
Yeah.
chasing something I'm passionate about. So just a lot of family members that have really, really stuck by me while I'm grinding it out in an industry that's really hard to, get to the top in.
Man, talk about sports broadcasting camp because I'm really appreciative that you brought it up, but you also brought up something earlier, talking about just you knew you wanted to do play by play, and for me, sports broadcasting camp changed my outlook so much on what I wanted to do because going in, I feel like every kid that knows they want to be a sports journalist, they want to be like, I want to be a play by play guy. And that was my thought too, but when I went in. Learn some things. I'm like, okay, this isn't exactly what I'm the best at. This is not exactly what I think I'm going to be good at. So let me try to divert that. So just talk about play by play. What was your experience like as a kid, and what changes did it make for your career for the better?
Yeah, I mean, that's where I got the initial interest in a career in sports broadcasting. And looking back, like when I first started going to the camps, even though it's called play-by-play sports broadcasting camps, one of the biggest things that I think was that we were exposed to was like kind of that Sports Center style anchoring and on-camera TV reporting. And at first, like I thought that's what I wanted to do. Like I wanted to be like Stuart Scott, who as he used to say, is as cool as the other side of the pillow. Like he was my guy. Like I love Stuart Scott, a legend for so many reasons. But I realized like that didn't really fit with my personality. Like even though a lot of the stuff I do is on camera nowadays, but I wasn't comfortable on camera like in that role, and I wasn't, reading off a teleprompter and doing that kind of stuff wasn't my thing. But I found out later that I was a little bit more comfortable doing some other stuff: sports talk radio, writing, play by play. And the camp was one place where I started to realize some of those things. But not even like from a career perspective, like just like a kid growing up going to camp and having fun, like that camp was awesome to go to as a camper. Like I've got so many people from that camp that I keep in touch with, some guys that I haven't seen in years, that are really good friends, some guys that I've been able to reconnect with the last couple of years that have become good friends again. And then getting a chance to have it come full circle, working at the camps as a counselor and an instructor for a bunch of years, coming back to do that during the pandemic. Like Steve and Jeremy brought me back in to be a counselor during the summer of 2020 when I just needed something. I needed a way to make some money and stay in sports in some way. And they brought me back in. And so like my turnaround career-wise kind of happened while I was doing that stuff. So I'll always be thankful to them. I've known them since I was 10 years old. I've known them almost 20 years, which is really cool. But that camp helped me gain confidence. It helped me find my voice, and I'm continuing to find my voice. But both literally and figuratively, I found my voice through those camps. Quiet kid, kind of sheltered, and sports became my way to really like come out of my shell. So always grateful there. And like, I always tell people, like, remember your roots. Like if there's a person or a place or a group of people that helped you like get to where you are, like remember them, like don't forget that, and like have that be part of your story, and like be proud to talk about it.
Yeah, man. Got me emotional, man, for a lot of different reasons. But I think this is why I said this from the beginning, because I was like, I said we know each other, but we haven't had like a real like in-depth conversation about each other. But first off, Stuart Scott was the reason I wanted to do this too.
Okay, I love it.
And I hate that he's gone because I just don't really think that he understood the impact that he had on this business. Like I really don't think he understands how many people he's impacted to now do this and want to be in this field. Because like I'm sure there's so many of us that were impacted by his work. And so I got emotional here you saying that, but as well, myself now going back and now being a counselor for the camp, it's been such a joy to do that. Like I look back and I'm like, I'm able to teach kids like I was a couple years ago, and just let them work and grow, and they feel comfortable enough to come ask me questions or how can they get better. And I love that. Like there's a joy in doing what I do, but as well helping younger people do what they want to do and see what we do. So thank you, Stuart, and thank you, Jeremy and Steven. Like I've told them that many times, but like I don't think they understand the actual impact that they've had on my life either. I've known them since I was 14, so it's almost 7 full years, and they've made such a great impact on my life. So thank you for sharing it. I think that I'm relating to a lot more with you than I thought. And basing on everything, I kind of want to ask you, centered around baseball so much, for you growing up, who are some of your players, your favorite players, favorite teams, favorite team that you just love watching and growing up that just became so stuck with you as you grew up as a kid?
Yeah, so being from the Philadelphia area, grew up a big Phillies fan.
Mm-hmm.
Getting to watch the Phillies finish off the 2008 World Series. I still remember like where I was. I was at my house. I remember the exact spot on the couch in the family room where I was watching them finish off the World Series. Went to the World Series parade. So yeah, huge Phillies fan. My favorite baseball player my whole life growing up, it's always been Derek Jeter. Just everything about, I mean, he's everything that's right about baseball and like, what you want in a role model. So huge Jeter fan growing up. My favorite Philly of all time is Cole Hamels.
Okay, respectable.
Had a chance to meet Cole a couple times, grab a picture with him. Just one of my all-time favorite players, not just favorite Philly, but like Jimmy Rollins, Chase Utley, Ryan Howard, Carlos Ruiz, like that whole crew. And then outside of the Phillies, Michael Young from the Rangers, who eventually did play for the Phillies for a little bit, was always one of my favorite players. Just loved the way he played the game and like how versatile he was on the field. And then when he came to the Phillies, it was even better. So yeah, those are my guys growing up. A huge Mike Trout fan, of course, Bryce Harper nowadays. But outside of baseball, huge Eagles fan. I had to throw that out there. I know we were focusing on baseball, but my Birds defending Super Bowl champs. So it was really cool to be in the city this year to see them win it and celebrate in Philly because I missed it the last time that they won. So, but yeah, Philly through and through there. But yeah, baseball wise, yeah, those are some of the big names. And I played catcher throughout my baseball career. So I mentioned Carlos Ruiz, Yadier Molina, Joe Mauer, Buster Posey, Salvador Perez. Like I grew up in a golden era of catchers.
Yeah.
Jorge Posada is another one. So, just growing up playing that position, I was able to see firsthand like a great era from catching.
Before you got to college, man, were you able, maybe in like high school, right before high school, anything like that, were you able to really get any experience in terms of being a play-by-play guy or even journalism at all? Were you able to get any experience before you actually got to college? And if so, how did that help you kind of be better once you got to college?
Yeah, a decent amount of journalism broadcasting experience overall, a little bit of play-by-play. Like when I was in high school, I wrote for my student newspaper. And I also took TV production classes at my high school and anchored the morning announcements. So got experience doing that. And being a part of the TV club at my high school, I got to call play-by-play for some football and basketball games at my high school. It was cool because we'd call the games like up from like the football stadium at my school had like a little press box. We'd call them from up there. And we'd record them. They wouldn't be live, but then the TV production teachers, who I'm still really close with to this day and have been excellent mentors and friends to me, they would edit the game, and then it would go on the district channel, which is like so outdated. Like that's not a thing anymore. You don't need a district channel to find out what's going on. You can just go on social media or online and see if like school's closed or if there's a delay or what's going on. But they'd throw the games up on the district channel so we could turn on the TV at home and it's like, hey, that's me calling the football game from last Friday night, which was cool. So I did that for football and basketball. And then in the spring, I was playing on the baseball team. But I was really fortunate. My school has a TV studio, and I know over the years, like they've continued to put more money into it to make it better. But I got a lot of good broadcast journalism experience just in high school. So that was a good boost moving into college doing it.
What was your process in picking Penn State? Were there any other schools that maybe you were looking at instead of Penn State? What kind of came to the final conclusion that you wanted to decide to go to Penn State?
Yeah, so I actually I started at St. Joe's University in the Philly area, but I was only there for 3 semesters, and I eventually graduated from Penn State. And it's Penn State through and through for me because I had such an incredible experience there, both academically, career experience wise, socially, all that stuff. But coming out of high school, I was mainly looking at schools in the Philly area, and Penn State was probably the farthest away. And like I said earlier, I was a mama's boy, still kind of am. I didn't really want to go 3 hours away. And for some people, 3 hours is not far. For me, it felt like I was moving across the country. So I ended up going to St. Joe's, which is a half hour away, because I think I just needed to be a little bit closer at a smaller school to start, just based off my personality, and kind of figuring out college. And I got to a point where I kind of outgrew St. Joe's in terms of what I wanted to do. They don't have a lot of broadcast stuff. They don't have a specific broadcast program, but I got some reps doing stuff there that I'm really fortunate that I did. Started a radio show. I had my first radio show there, was writing for a website while I was there. So that was great. But I wanted a bigger school. I wanted a bigger journalism communications program. So when it came time to transfer, I only applied to Penn State. I knew I was going to get in. I got in out of high school, and I knew that's where I wanted to go. So I knew it had everything I wanted as well. So I got there, and I had high hopes for it. I was a little nervous, but I had high hopes, but it exceeded my expectations in the best way. I had so much fun. I made best friends, lifelong friends, and I've got so much great experience. But really what sold me on Penn State was the fact that it's a big D1 school with so many different sports. Like, it's not just football. There's so many other sports that matter up there, and there's so many opportunities for students, whether it's the on-campus student radio stations or the TV station, or working for the athletic department in some capacity. And I just knew it was going to be a fun time. I mean, it comes down to that as well, like football weekends in the fall and just all the stuff there is to do up there. Like, I knew it was going to be awesome, and it was. So always thankful that I took the leap to go a little bit farther and realized that maybe there wasn't anything left for me at SJU, and to take a chance and go somewhere where I really thought that I could flourish. But I had to step out of my comfort zone to do it, and I'm glad I did it.
Yeah. When you got through college and graduated, what was that process like? Did you have an opportunity to work immediately after you got out of college? Like, what was the landscape for you after you graduated college and kind of got into the real world?
So right out of college, I ended up going out to the Northwoods League, which is a summer collegiate baseball league, where it's, you hear about a bunch of different leagues, Cape Cod League and all those different summer leagues for guys to play and get seen in front of scouts and eventually get drafted. So that was my first opportunity to be the voice of the team. Like, I was the guy. I was the only broadcaster, 72 game season in less than 80 days. I mean, it was a grind, but got a chance to, call the games, go on the road with the team, kind of figure out like how a minor league baseball season worked, even though that wasn't minor league ball yet, but it was kind of as close as you can get to a minor league season in those college summer leagues. So that was great. Like, I had a connection out there, and that kind of shows you how important connections are. Like, that's what got me my start. Yeah. And, went out to Rockford, Illinois, another leap outside of my comfort zone, to be on my own in a new area, kind of just figuring things out as I go, making $50 a game, calling these games. But it was so much fun. It was the reps that I needed. It was the experience away from home that I needed. So I'm very thankful that I had that opportunity. And then from there, I realized I wanted to keep going with baseball, but it's so hard. Like, it's not like business majors or, people that go to med school or doctors or whatever, where you come out of school and it's like, oh, you apply for 10 jobs, or you got 5 job offers. Which one do you want? Like, you may only have one job offer and you may apply to 90, 100 jobs, but all it takes is one to, in this industry to keep moving. So knew I wanted to get into baseball. Then I went out to the California Winter League, which is sort of a showcase league where guys go to get seen in front of scouts throughout the winter and hopefully sign independent ball or minor league contracts. So I went out there to call games in January and February 2018, when there's really no other baseball being played in the country. So I got baseball reps when nobody else was doing it. And that helped get me into pro ball. Did a year of independent ball. Then I got into affiliated ball with the Altoona Curve, the Pirates AA team. And then kind of a roller coaster ride through COVID. And I mentioned what happened with the situation in 2022, but eventually landed with the Aberdeen IronBirds. So it's definitely a tough path. It's not easy. My path has not been, it's not unique. There are a lot of people that have been through very weird paths like that, but it's kind of proof that like it can happen for you. Like if you want to do it, if you keep getting better, if you're passionate. So as long as you kind of know like a little bit of a direction that you want to head into, like, you know, it can happen for you to keep moving on.
You ever just kind of sit back and look over what you do and the things that you've done and just be like, I'm really living this dream out? Because for me, it's like you kind of talked about it earlier, but it's like, man, I'm 20 going on 21 in this summer, but I'm like, I was dreaming about these things 5 years ago, the things that I'm doing, the work that I'm around. Like, do you ever just sit back and just like, I'm in awe that I'm working for a minor league affiliate of a major league baseball team? Like, do you ever just sit back and think what I've done is just so incredible for my life?
Yeah, I do. And I probably still don't do it enough. I don't think I take what I do for granted, but sometimes I just don't take the time to process and reflect. But
Yeah.
I did start to truly do that after the pandemic. And once I got the gig in Aberdeen, because I went through a lot. Like I went through a really tough time mentally, just things not going my way. But when I got that gig in Aberdeen, I finished off the 2022 season. I started that year backing out of a position because it just wasn't right for me. I was getting misled. It wasn't a good situation. And I ended it calling games in a championship series. The first time in franchise history that the IronBirds had gone to a championship series. We didn't win it. We didn't finish it off, but it was incredible. So just then I was like, wow, like it couldn't have been worse in April. And now it couldn't have been better in September. So, and then the next year when I got to come back as the voice of the IronBirds for a full season for the first time in 2023. I got a little emotional like after and leading up to the opening day game that year, because that was my first opening day as a lead broadcaster in professional baseball. And there were times I didn't think it was going to happen. I really didn't. But it did. And it was special because it was kind of like, you know, look at what I fought through to do this, to get here, and all the people that supported me along the way. So that was special. And then the rest of that season, I really thought to myself, I'd be sitting down, filling out my scorebook before a game. I'm like, man, like this is cool. Like there was a time where I didn't have this and didn't think I would have this. So I'm going to appreciate every chance I get to put on the headset and call a game. And it stayed that way the last few years. It felt that way when I was in Australia. It felt that way when I was in the Arizona Fall League and my paychecks were coming in with the MLB logo on it. Like, you know, there were times I never thought that was going to happen, but I look back to when I was at sports broadcasting camp as a camper, and I'm sitting in the seats hearing all these guest speakers and everybody talk, and I'm like, I want to be a sports broadcaster someday. And now I get to tell people I am a sports broadcaster. Like that's special. And I definitely don't take it for granted. So self-reflection and, you know, just being grateful has become like a big part of, you know, my journey.
Yeah. Heck yeah, man. If you could you give everybody watching, listening, a breakdown of a game day for you? Like, say you have a game at whatever time. What time would you get up? You know, what's your process in the morning? What time would you arrive to the stadium? Like, what's your pregame process? What goes all into that? What's your postgame process? Like for a game day, what is a day in their life look like for you?
Yeah, so in Aberdeen, it's definitely, it varies by minor league team, and it's definitely a unique situation in Aberdeen where my main role is just to show up and call the game, and I do a little bit of other stuff. But in Aberdeen, usually at the latest, for a 7 o'clock game, at the latest I'm in, it's 3 p.m. So sometimes earlier, but my day starts like when you're working nights and working a long baseball season, like you got to get some sleep, and you know you're up late, so you got to sleep in a little bit. So I'll sleep till like 9:30, wake up pretty well rested, get a good breakfast in, and then I'll hit the gym, kind of the first thing that I do. You know, you got to make sure that you're moving around and getting exercise and eating well during the grind of any sports season, but especially baseball, because it's just game after game for 6 months.
Yeah.
So I take a lot of pride in like how much time and effort I put into like, you know, staying healthy, nutrition, exercise, and all that. So good breakfast, hit the gym, come back, and you know, kind of regroup for the day, kind of get going, like maybe start on some broadcast prep notes, or maybe just do something on the side, like edit some video interviews, stuff like that. You know, eat lunch, kind of get ready to go to the ballpark. And then once I get to the ballpark, I'm pretty much doing something productive the entire time I'm there. So I get in, we'll have like a staff meeting real quick. And then I'll get on updating my game notes for the day, which is something that's really important in baseball because you play every day. You got to keep the stats and, like talking points and storylines updated in the game notes, make sure that's all good to go for myself and the other broadcasters before the game. So I'll get that done. Normally plan out my pregame show. Depending on how quickly I get it done, I'll go back and, edit some interview stuff or maybe plan out my next interview. Then the IronBirds, we hit BP from about 4 to 5 for a 7 o'clock game. So I'll go down during batting practice and I'll spend most of BP down there. Sometimes maybe a half hour, sometimes less, depending on what I got going. But a lot of times I'm down there for all of it, talking to guys, getting to know guys better, maybe picking up some talking points for the broadcast, maybe doing interviews with guys as well. But I've really tried to make an effort to be down there, with the guys as much as possible because we build the working relationship. There's things that I can learn about them that, you can't find out from just Googling them. And then that leads to better stories for the broadcast, and that leads to a better overall broadcast. So I've really tried to go into batting practice, not always with a goal of like questions to ask, but just the goal of I want to get some productive talking points by just being around the guys. So once I'm done that, 5 p.m. hits, then I'll go back up and if did an interview, I'll edit that and get that ready for the pregame show, do some more broadcast prep, fill out my scorebook, write the lineups in, put notes in where I want them, go through my game notes. Hey, what do I want to highlight on the broadcast tonight? Then I'll usually eat dinner about 6 o'clock. Got to make sure I get a good meal in before the broadcast. Then I do the pregame show down on the field or somewhere in the stadium at about 6:30, 6:40. So we do that on-camera pregame show. They put it up on the scoreboard. They put it on the PA system for the inside the ballpark. Once that's done, come back up. If I'm going to play a pregame interview on the broadcast, I get that going. Then I, get the broadcast started a couple minutes before 7 o'clock, get the lineups out, do that pregame stuff. And then I call the game for 2.5, 3 hours. Sometimes I'll have a guest on, which is something I did a lot last year. I'll do more so of that this year. And then when the game's done, kind of wrap up, filling out the scorebook, go home for the night, and then just kind of repeat throughout the entire series. So it's definitely a grind because like once I get to the ballpark, there's not really a whole lot of downtime, but I like it that way. Like I want to keep moving and once that game hits, I want to be ready. So making sure I manage my time wisely and just kind of roll with that for 5.5 months, however long the season goes.
Yeah. What has been, if you've had one, like just a favorite moment calling the game or a favorite game you've been able to call? And just, if so, describe that moment or game for people watching and listening.
Yeah. So to this point, the one that stands out, like when people ask me, like, what's your favorite call or the best call you've made? It was during the 2023 season when Jackson Holliday hit a walk-off home run for us in Aberdeen. It was just a good call in general because I really put a lot into it and you could feel the emotion and I felt good about it in the moment. But I also used some Luke Combs song lyrics in the home run call. And I'm a huge country music fan. So to be able to tie that in with baseball, my two passions, it was really cool. And Luke ended up seeing that call and hearing it the next day and tweeted that it was the best home run call he's ever heard. So that will always be special because he tweeted that. The video ended up getting over 1 million views. And somebody from MLB Pipeline, MLB.com, told me that that's the most viewed clip of an in-game highlight with audio on it that they've ever had, which is incredibly cool. So that will always stand out. But maybe the coolest thing I've ever done was when I was out in the Arizona Fall League in October and November 2024. I got to broadcast the Arizona Fall League Home Run Derby on MLB.com, and it was also streamed on the MLB app. So that was just really special. I called a lot of games out there, but doing the Home Run Derby was really cool because there's 2 home run derbies every year that MLB is involved with. Of course, the MLB Home Run Derby every year during the All-Star Week, but the other one is the Arizona Fall League Home Run Derby, which that league is run by MLB for minor league prospects. And I was on the call for that, which was really cool to get that opportunity. It's something I've always wanted to do. Never knew how I'd get to do it, and the opportunity came about. It was just really fun because it's so different than an actual play-by-play broadcast of a game. It was more conversational and throwing out stories but just having fun making home run calls. Um, giving Chris Berman a shout out to him with a back call thrown in there. Just really special to get to do that. And people could go on their phone on MLB.com or the MLB app, and it's me calling this home run derby. So that's really special. But there's been a lot of fun games throughout my career. The one I'll always hold special is my first ever walk-off home run call in the Northwoods League in 2017. And the guy who hit it, made his MLB debut last year for the Dodgers, and is getting a World Series ring. So things like that are always special. But those are three big ones that stand out.
I love that, man. And you read my mind again, so I'm going to stay on it. Just talk about music. Who are some of your favorite artists? I love music, so I always have to ask a question. You've already started out great with Luke Combs because Luke is my guy. So just who've been some of your favorite music artists of your life?
Yeah, so Luke Combs and Morgan Wallen are two big ones right now. I'm also a huge Kane Brown fan. I'm really getting into his music lately. But my favorite country artists of all time, Florida Georgia Line. Now, they're not together anymore. I like their stuff individually, Tyler Hubbard and Brian Kelly, but together, man, like when I was first getting into country music, it was probably like 2011 in high school. FGL got popular in probably 2013. I've always loved their music. So shout out FGL and both those guys. But there's a lot of country artists I like. But outside of country, even though that's most of what I listen to, I'm a big Mike Stud fan. He goes by just Mike now. But really cool story. Former Division I baseball player at Duke and Georgetown. Just had Tommy John surgery, injury troubles in college. Was one of the guys that couldn't make it back from the surgery. Was never the same. But college roommates with Marcus Stroman. And while he was in college, he started rapping like in his dorm room, and now he's a pretty well-known music artist throughout the industry. But I've always liked his music because he used to throw out a lot of sports references in his songs, and now he's kind of changed his style. But all his stuff is good. So shout out Mike. Really love his stuff as well. But country music through and through. That's mainly what I listen to. I was just in Nashville a few weeks ago for the first time. That was really cool. But it's been cool over the years. Getting into different things outside of sports, because I tell people all the time, like when you work in sports, like you need to find an outlet outside of sports when you're not working, because for most people you work your job and going to games or watching games is your outlet. It has to be the opposite for us working in sports. So being able to grow my passion for country music and other things, it's been really cool to kind of like do stuff outside of sports.
Yeah, man. Great playlist of music artists. People watching probably know that the guests that I have never been too big country music fans, minus a few. So I love that you're saying that. One thing I want to bring up with you, man, is excuse me, just your experience with the Australian Baseball League. I know you weren't with them too long, but just what was that experience like, man? And just being able to do that and experience that, maybe how was it different in any way compared to baseball that you cover in different parts of your career?
Oh man, Australia was incredible, man. I still my friends will probably tell you, like I talk about it way too much. Like it was the best experience I've ever had in my life, and I hope to get back there in some capacity someday, even if it's just for vacation. But it was awesome. Best life experience I had. I mentioned earlier, like some of the best points in my life have been when I've gotten out of my comfort zone and taken a leap of faith. And this was a big one, moving across the world. I knew it was short term, but literally picking up and moving across the world, taking a flight like from California, it's 15 and a half hours out there. And you still have to get to Cali. So it's over 20 hours of flight time to get there. So it was big. Like I was taking a chance, and it was just so awesome. Like life experience of being able to travel around, see new cities, check out different beaches, and, see different wildlife, explore new cities, but also the baseball aspect of, again, getting baseball reps during the fall and winter months when people aren't doing that. I became a better broadcaster being out there. That was kind of the first point in my career where I realized like how much I could take my broadcasting to another level by the way I prepped and how much I prepped, and being out there helped me realize that. But it helped me continue to develop my voice and I developed my signature fire me up home run call out there. So it was so beneficial in a lot of different ways. I got a lot of on camera experience interviewing players, which continued to help me in that area. But just in general, like seeing baseball across the world, seeing a league made up of mostly native Australians, but a lot of players from elsewhere as well. It was cool seeing people from all over the countries, different countries in the world come together to play baseball. And the game is style wise, it's very similar, but you notice that there's some differences, small differences, but for the most part, the game's played the same, but just to see like baseball fans across the world and how into it they are. Baseball's not big in Australia. It's never going to be their biggest sport. It may never even be top 5, but there is a group of diehard baseball fans out there that love the game. So it was just really special to see that, and also like be able to spread my knowledge and love for the game over there.
Yeah, man. Kind of coming back to present, I want to ask you, getting ready for the season to start this week, what's like your number one goal for this upcoming season in terms of what you're doing and what you're trying to improve on for the rest of your career?
Yeah, that's a great question, because I was thinking about this the other day. Like, what are my main goals going into this year? I've had big goals the last couple of years, but every year it changes because you're more experienced and you're looking to get something different out of it. This year, I really want to get back to like the pure fun of it and the passion, because it's tough during the off season. Like, you get in the mindset of like, damn man, like why am I doing this? Like, I'm not getting, there's no baseball during the winter. Like, I'm not calling games. Like, I'm just out of my element when I'm not in my baseball season. So the mind can start to wander, and you can start, questioning why you're doing it. Is it worth it? All that. So I really want to get back to like, why do I love it so much? Why am I passionate about it? Once the season starts, I'll lock back into that mindset. But this year, I really want to not worry so much about what's next, and not worry about throwing out every single statistic and number that I possibly can, because it's easy to get trapped into that in baseball, because numbers kind of dominate the game in so many different ways. But somebody told me recently, like, at some point you just got to make sure you're looking up and call the action. Don't worry about weaving so much. So this year, I just want to make sure I'm getting back to like the root of the broadcast is the actual game, and make sure I'm calling that and improving and being clear and concise and entertaining while I'm doing that, and then let everything else fall into place outside of it. But just really want to focus on, why I'm there in the first place, what got me there, and just knowing that like, I'm doing something that I always wanted to do. So like, don't take it for granted.
Heck yeah, man. One of the things that I always ask at the end, we'll kind of closing to the end now at this point, but it's 2 questions in one, so stick with me. But you've kind of talked about this one a lot, honestly. But outside of what your job is, if you could give a piece of advice to somebody watching and listening about life in general, what would you tell someone listening? And secondly, I'm huge on legacy, so just like doing things that I want to do that I remember for in a positive way, and having a positive impact on people in every life that I meet. So when people hear the name Michael Marcantini, what do you want them to remember about who you were as a person?
Yeah, that's a great question. I've kind of been asked variations of that, but never worded that way, and I really like the way you asked that. So I'll start with that. I kind of mentioned this earlier. Like, I want people to know how much I care about what I'm doing and the people that I'm doing it for. The guy who managed the Aberdeen IronBirds in 2022 and 2023 when I was there, Roberto Mercado, who now manages the Orioles AA team, he told me in an interview once, when I asked him about like, him as a manager, he told me that guys need to know how much you care before they know how much you know. And that really stuck with me from that day. And like last year, I really took that into every day. Like, I want the people listening to my broadcast and the players and everybody to know how much I care, not how much I know. Like, I don't want to be the know-it-all and on the broadcast. I want to be the broadcaster that tells impactful stories and calls the game in a way that like people are going to remember. Like I want to tell stories. I want to talk about people's families and growing up and their interests off the field and who they are and showcase who they are as people and not just as athletes, because that's what the people that listen to me broadcast are going to remember. They're not going to remember me talking about the guy's OPS and his 10-game hitting streak and, how many strikeouts he's had in his last 3 starts. Like they're going to remember the human interest side of the game. So I want guys to know how much I care. And I got a lot of compliments last year from players, from their families, about being really positive on air and telling stories about who they are and, not just calling a cookie cutter game where I'm saying the same thing every night, spewing out the same stats. So I want people to remember that. I want them to know that like when I'm calling a game, like that's as in my element as I'm going to get. Like that's fun. It's so much fun for me. I want them to know that like I'm not worried about when my paycheck hits, like from calling the games. It's great to get paid and you have to make money to make a living, but I'm not worried about when the next payday is. I'm calling the game. I'm having the time of my life. I'm having a blast. So I want people to remember how much I care, how passionate I am. And I want them to know that like I'm looking to build friendships and working relationships, not just doing a job. So I hope that stands out with everybody that hears me call a game. And I was trying to think of both questions at the same time. What was that first question?
What piece of advice would you give to somebody listening about life?
Right. So I think 2 things. One, trust yourself and like trust your gut feel. When I got burnt on that job that I took in 2022 before backing out of it, I think the entire time leading up to that season, like I knew that there was something not quite right about it. And I had a little bit of a weird feeling about it.
Yeah.
And I just didn't trust myself. I kind of got in desperation mode. I haven't worked in baseball in this many years. I need to get back in regardless of the situation. And I got burnt on it. I recovered, but trust your gut because I didn't in that point. And, I think about that a lot, but also like take a chance. I told you multiple times the best times in my life and career have been when I stepped out of my comfort zone. It started with, when I was in college, transferring to Penn State and then going out to the Northwoods League in Illinois after I graduated. And then, going out to Australia, across the world, and a bunch of little things along the way. Like I've stepped out of my comfort zone and it's led to the best times of my life. So be willing to do it. Like it doesn't have to be the biggest jump. It doesn't have to be right away, but like be open-minded to getting outside of your comfort zone and exploring different interests. And if it's something that you want to do and you're passionate about it, go for it because you can always pivot and do something else later. It's like a professional athlete. Like you can't just go work a normal job and then at 30 years old say, oh, I want to go be a professional athlete. I should have pursued that. Like you got to do it the other way around because go chase your dream. And then if it doesn't work out, you can always pivot and do something else. Like as a broadcaster, I could have just out of college gone and get some random 9-to-5 job. And then 5 years later, I've been like, oh, actually, I want to be a big league broadcaster someday. I got to get back into this. I'm doing that now. And if I have to pivot or if I decide I want to pivot, I can do that and find other ways to make a living and have a job. But just the fact that I'm going after it now, like be proud of being willing to go for something that you really want.
Yeah. Thank you, man. I always say that those 2 questions are always like the most meaningful parts of the conversations that I always have. I feel like there's a better in-depth that people get in when they answer that to kind of show who they kind of really are, even though we've talked for so long, but that kind of like is the most pivotal part so thank you for sharing that. And my last bit is what I call quick hitters. So for you and people that are new that don't know what quick hitters is, I'm just going to ask you a series of quick questions and you just give me the answer that comes straight to your mind as best as possible. Okay. First question is, what's your dream car?
Ooh, I got to go with a cherry red Corvette.
Ooh, okay. I like that. Favorite movie?
The National Treasure series and the Hangover series.
Okay.
Yeah. Can't pick just one.
Okay. Dream vacation spot?
Italy and a Caribbean island, but number 1 would be Italy.
Okay. Your favorite song currently?
Current favorite song, "Backseat Driver" by Kane Brown.
I like that. I like that a lot. Okay. If you could add one active baseball player to this Phillies team, who would it be?
Ooh, one active baseball player to the Phillies team. I think they would be absolutely lethal if they had a healthy Mike Trout. Mike Trout, a huge Mike Trout fan. If he's healthy, even though he's older now, I
Mhm.
think they would be so good with him in the outfield.
I like that. Okay. I'm gonna make you think with this one a little bit, but if you could have dinner with three people, dead or alive, who would they be?
That's a fantastic question. Three people dead or alive. Um, ooh, that's great. I mean, that's really good. I think the first person I would go with. Um, wow, man, that's tough.
Take your time, man. This is always the question that people get stuck up on. So take your time. I promise you're good.
I've asked that question to people before, and it's never been asked to me. One, ooh, man, three is a lot. I think one, Roberto Clemente.
Okay.
I've always been fascinated by his story and
Yeah.
everything that he meant to so many people, just as a human being, not just as a baseball player. I've had a chance to meet two of his sons throughout my life, Roberto Clemente Jr. and Luis Clemente. Um, and I mean, that's number one for sure. Just the impact that he had on people. Um, let's see, two more. I actually somebody asked me something similar to this a while back. I'm going to throw Mark Cuban on that list. I
Ah,
think I was an entrepreneurship minor in college. I'm so fascinated by entrepreneurship, but also
mhm.
um, the career that he's built and what he's done in his life and kind of the values that he stands for.
Yeah.
So I'd throw Mark Cuban at that table. That's
Like it.
so random. Roberto Clemente and Mark Cuban together at a table. And then give me Derek Jeter. Just my favorite baseball player ever. I think he stands for just so many good things, and it's really been cool watching him post
Yeah.
retirement, seeing what he's doing. So that's my three right there.
Yeah, that'll be a fun table. I love that, man. Last question is, what's one person that you would like to see join me on the show for a conversation? But the kicker is you have to help me get that person on the show.
Ooh, that's a fantastic question. You're doing a great job asking that at the end. Somebody that you should get on the show. I've got a ton of contacts within the baseball industry.
Let's make it happen.
I really think that you would benefit from having a guy that I mentioned earlier on this show, Roberto Mercado, the Double A manager in the
Mhm.
Orioles organization. He's got a fantastic story and a fantastic background. I
Yeah.
think he would appeal to you and your audience. He's got an education background, working with kids, baseball background, just a great person overall. And he's the guy who told me guys need to know how much you care
Mhm.
before they know how much you
Yeah.
know.
Okay. Well, Roberto, you heard it here first. See you soon, hopefully. Uh, Man, thank you so much. I've enjoyed the heck out of this, and I've enjoyed getting to learn from you, listen to you, laugh with you, cry with you a little bit, man. Huge thank you to you, and as well, continue being great. Like we kind of talked about it, we talked about it, but you're doing a lot of good things, man, and you're inspiring people around you, whether you realize it or not. So just keep doing you, man, and thank you for joining me, man.
I appreciate it, Dalen. Hey, man, you host a great show. You ask great questions, and part of the reason why I felt like I was able to give so many good, authentic answers is because you create a comfortable environment as the person leading the show and doing the interviews. And yeah, like that's what I want to do. I want to inspire because I wouldn't be here without a lot of people helping me in my broadcasting journey, and I want people to know that like I've been through a lot of tough times throughout my career and life.
Yeah.
So like it can happen. Like I haven't had a perfect trajectory and it's never going to be that way. So I want people to be able to relate because I've had a lot of good times, but I've also fought through a lot of rough times. And I think that anybody can relate to that.
Yeah. Appreciate you so much, man. I'm my own biggest critic, so like I don't think that anything that I do or what I'm doing is extraordinary. So to hear people say it means a lot to me. So thank you for telling me. It means a
Absolutely.
lot. And thank you guys for tuning in, man. I hope you guys, ladies and gents, enjoyed this. I hope you learned something. I want to emphasize the point of what I do is to share people's stories, but I also hope that people watching and listening are also taking these things and are using them in their lives. You know, when he talked about the advice, you know, I hope that you take that advice and go use it in that aspect of your life. Whatever it is, I hope you either learn, you laughed, or you cried, like Jimmy V said. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Please leave a like on the video, subscribe on all platforms. Check out our website. We have some merchandise. Hoodies just dropped, so please go get you a hoodie. That would mean the world to me. Thank you guys for your support as we continue moving along in season 5. God bless everyone. Thank you.